James Cameron knows he's the real deal. All of his movies have been commercial and critical successes, so it makes sense that he's a confident man. His latest film, Avatar: The Way of Water, hasn't even been released yet, and Cameron has already planned ahead. Now that's confidence. Watch this video to find out what he's planning. First up, full speed ahead. The Way of Water has been long in the making. Ever since Avatar was released all the way back in 2009, people have been craving more, and now their prayers are finally being answered. While it took James 13 years to make a follow-up to his masterpiece, he's not waiting that long the next time. In fact, he's declared that Avatar 3 is going to happen even if this movie tanks at the box office. A month ago, he'd said that everything depends on how well the second part does at the box office. Why the sudden change of plans? Well, it's because he doesn't think the movie will fail. Besides, he's shot most of the third and parts of the fourth too. The Way of Water has already cost Universal Studios $350 million, but they are prepared to foot an even higher bill. The Titanic director says that he's written 4 scripts that are ready to go, so there's a lot more stuff that's going to hit our screen soon. The only thing holding him back is the people. If the people want more Avatar movies, he's prepared to fulfill their wishes. But as things stand, we'll get an Avatar 3 in any case. We mean, it would be a shame to let it go to waste, no? Plus, considering Cameron's track record, we doubt the movie will suck. The Way of Water releases on the 16th of December, and movie 3 will most probably release in 2024. Next up, hold up, wait a minute. Even though the 68-year-old director wants to go full speed ahead with his sequels, there are a few red lights on the way. Whether they'll stop his journey or eventually turn green is up to fate. The next 3 sequels depend on the success of Avatar 2. While it isn't a big consideration for the director, Universal Studios will not simply throw money in the fire. They need to know that the nearly $1 billion they'll invest in the franchise is going to be well worth their time. Avatar is still the most successful movie at the box office, so it's safe to say they're making a good bet. But in any case, if the movie flops at the box office, they'll have a new plan in place. Since it's already been shot, it'll be released as planned, but with minor changes. Instead of being 2 of a Part 4 sequel, it'll become the finale of the series. He says that if the audiences have had enough of the story, he'll put it to rest in Avatar 3 rather than drag it out and ruin it. The challenge is really getting people in cinemas again. After the pandemic and streaming, people don't need to leave their houses to watch a movie, so a movie must deliver a whole experience that's impossible without a cinema. That's what will get butts in the theaters. Well, we don't know about you, but visiting Pandora again sounds like a pretty good reason to get out of bed and go to the movies with us. Coming up, take the hint. Cameron has had a decade to tease us though. He's been making and breaking promises for a while. But now it seems like he was leading us to this moment all along. Back in 2010, things were very different, but one thing remained the same: the Aliens director penchant for sequels. In January 2010, just days after Avatar made $1 billion, he announced that we will get another movie. A few days later, he added that in fact, we'd get several more movies. He let us know that there are scenes he cut from the first movie to add to the second part, so he was planning this all along. We wonder if any of those scenes made it to Way of the Water. Although Avatar 2 and 3 were supposed to start shooting in 2013, Cameron then announced that they would be delayed indefinitely. He announced that Avatar 4 and 5 were also ready to go around this time, but for some reason things kept getting put ahead. Originally, Way of Water was supposed to come in December 2020, but the pandemic had other ideas. Still, he'd been saying that he was solely in the Avatar business for years now, but we just lost faith in him at this point. Can you blame us though? All of the actors seem to have moved on, but not Cameron. He kept saying the sequels were coming soon. Well, soon-ish. Now all the announcements about sequels are old news. We've been hearing them for a while, but will he actually deliver on his promises? That's the bigger question. Up next, keep them coming. Hollywood is notorious for taking something good and stretching it out until it loses all its charm. We can all name a few franchises that should have let the story die with their original cast, or shows that really didn't need another season, but it seems like James hasn't been paying attention. For him, it's all about the money. Avatar 5 is supposed to come in 2028, and by then we assumed that the story would have wrapped up. But the Terminator 2 director doesn't seem to think so. In an interview, he confessed that if people wanted even more Avatar stories, he would write them. He has an idea for chapters 6 and 7 too. We think he took giving the people what they want way way too seriously. Still, there are some limitations to his ambition. He admits that by then he'll be 89 and cannot keep making these movies forever, so he'll need to hand over the mantle to someone else for them to direct, but he's not ready to give it to just anyone. Oh no, he's very specific about that. What he really wants is somebody to train. He thinks that no matter how smart a director is, they don't know what it takes to make an Avatar movie. He'll have to mentor someone and teach them the ropes in any case. That sounds like a tempting but grueling offer, but we mean who would pass up an opportunity to make literal magic though? Moving on, nobody's perfect. Another reason for the huge delay between the first and second installments of the movie is largely unknown by most people. Cameron was not simply lounging around doing nothing. He was hard at work, but some things were just not fitting the way they were supposed to. He explained that he was working with a team of writers to write the second part, and they'd been noodling around for a while. But for him, a sequel must do two main things. It must be familiar and unprecedented at the same time. You will get the same world, but this new movie does something different from the first. To get that perfect balance, it took him time to develop the sequel that he called High Ground. What else did you expect from a perfectionist like him? But that movie never got made. It got scrapped before it was even considered. And now he finally told us why. He had written around 130 pages with his team when he finally pulled the brakes. The story was great, but not Avatar level spectacular. It just wasn't unexpected enough for him to cut it. On top of that, James insists that Avatar movies must have thematic and subconscious relevance. For him, the script just didn't have that element of spirituality that was central to the first movie. But don't worry, it didn't get shredded into pieces, just transformed into something else. Lastly, time to recycle. But what do you do with a perfectly good script that just doesn't meet the director's standards? Turn it into a novel, of course. Avatar is all about protecting the environment after all. When it was clear that High Ground would not make it into the theaters, Cameron had another idea. He turned it into a Dark House graphic novel instead. The story lies between Avatar Parts 1 and 2. It depicts battles that happened before the Way of Water even started, so if you just can't get enough of this world, grab your copy ASAP. The graphic novel will have 3 issues. The first one will be released on December 6th. The first issue will take place a decade after the first movie. The humans had left Pandora, but now have returned with even bigger starships. Jake now has a family and is desperate to protect them in his home. We don't know, Cameron. That sounds like something we would have liked to see in the cinema. The second issue follows Jake trying to prevent the attack. He's trained the Na'vi warriors and made a foolproof plan, but things start to go south pretty soon. Human nature gets in the way once more. Will he be able to save him and Neytiri? No one knows. Finally, the third part will focus on the inevitable battle between the Sky People and the Na'vi. This will be an epic showdown that dictates the planet's future. Whatever happens here will impact the Way of Water massively, so we think it's worth getting a copy to say the least. We can't wait to see how everything turns out, but that's it for today's video, my friends. Do you think we'll have Avatars 4 and 5? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back soon with another video. Thank you for watching.